Good afternoon, YouTubers. Tsquare here with Tsquare Talks. I hope everybody's having a great Thursday. I'm pretty excited about how the markets are going to do today. I'm actually filming this video on Wednesday, late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. And so by filming this at this time, I've been staying up kind of watching and seeing what the markets are doing, overseas markets, and then shifting into how our precious metals doing. We got the Bric'S meeting coming up August 22nd. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I know a lot of other YouTubers out there that talk about this kind of stuff just think this is just another event that people are hyping up and it's not going to be anything major. I'm going to tell you guys today in this video why I think it has a lot of potential to be something major. I don't do this to drum up drama to gain clicks, which I hear some people out there on YouTube saying that, oh, they just talk about this. It's one more thing. It's another day. It's not going to be anything major. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to explain why I believe it could be something major. If you guys enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me. Please make sure you're subscribed. It really helps the channel out. And leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I love hearing y'all's opinions. I'd also like to take just a quick minute to thank our subscribers, JM Sparger, Chris Rivera, Steve Newberry, Chris B, Thomas D, Ronald Smith, Ryan Reed, Conrad, 420 Stacker, and Chris in Virginia. Also, I'd like to thank New Marshall in Town and Domingo for also being sponsors, even though they're not on that list yet because it just happened. Okay, so if you'd like, one more thing, if you'd like to become a sponsor, it's only $1.99 a month. You can click the join button. That will entitle you to a lot of cool perks. If you don't want to put your credit card on essentially YouTube, you have other means, then you can go ahead and send a $24 donation to tsquaretalktome@gmail.com through PayPal. I actually have someone else that said that was how they wanted to do it, and you'll still have your name on the list. You'll still get all the perks, except for I won't be able to put the star next to your name. It's just something that I'm letting people know. But I know some people don't want to give their credit card. I don't give my credit card ever out because I worry about what's going on. So with that being said, now that I beat that up for a whole minute and a half, let's get talking about what's going on. So a lot of you guys have been following the Bric'S. We've talked about it time and time again. What we haven't really talked a whole lot about, though, right now is, and we're going to talk about it, is, the dollar's been weaponized. The U.S. dollar, that's what's bringing a lot of this drama up. The U.S. dollar got weaponized against Russia. Essentially, they did something we didn't want them to do, and we penalized them with sanctions. But it ain't just Russia. We have sanctioned so many countries around the world, it's unbelievable. And Russia just happened to be one of the latest that got sanctioned, and they decided they were going to make a stand against it and have the rest of the Bric'S countries, where there's only 5 of them right now, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, basically start a de-dollarization campaign. We've talked about that time and time again. For those of you that don't know what that means, that basically means that they're starting to trade amongst each other using other things other than dollars. Right now, they're using basically their own currencies. A lot of people will tell you there's no currency that they're going to trust. Who's going to trust Russian currency? Who's going to trust the Chinese currency? Or they're going to tell you, nah, look at these countries. You got Russia falling apart. You got China falling apart. And essentially the other countries aren't nothing big enough. I mean, India is pretty big. Anybody that says India is not really hasn't looked at like their GDP and their population growth, which is really a big factor. They've got a very large population growth. So, I mean, I think it's going to play a factor. But what's really scary too is you have a lot of other countries joining them. When this meeting happens on August 22nd, they're going to decide how many of the 42 applications are going to be added to the Bric'S. They could add all of them. All 42 of them could get added. Who knows? But I think the key thing, I think that is not going to be I'll say the death blow per se. I think it's going to be another nail in the coffin. But what I do think is it's not going to be long after that they try to weaponize something against us. And what is the number one thing that they could weaponize against us that a lot of people don't really consider? It's probably going to be oil and gas. I think the timing on this is coincidental. You figure they're having their meeting now, they're all going to talk, and they're probably going to set a date to basically weaponize oil, especially if they bring in the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and some of these other oil-rich countries. That if they control the oil, they essentially control, everything. Oil and gas, energy, those are big factors. And how that's going to affect Americans is we've kind of backed off on our oil production here in the U.S. We ended up getting rid of the Valdez pipeline? I can't remember the name of the pipeline about a year ago that they ended up canceling from Canada, which would have given us basically Canadian oil, had it sent all the way down here to Texas, where I'm at. But I think that even the leases, they've cut back on leases. They've done a lot of different things to basically make it harder for oil industry to grow and thrive. They want to go green. Here they are. They're wanting to get rid of gas stoves, for crying out loud. A gas stove is really a huge factor in global warming. And is it really going to make a difference if other countries are still using them stuff, all that, oil, gas, coal? So green energy to me, the world is not ready for it. If everybody was plugging into the U.S. grid, the grid would not be able to sustain it, in my opinion. I'm an electrician. I think the lines would just start sagging. The heat would overblow the insulation, and essentially you'd have everything tripping and shutting down, and then you'd have rolling blackouts all around the country. So it's kind of good that, yes, it's great to go green in the sense of diversifying. Maybe have some people on solar, have some people on wind, have some people on regular energy, oil and gas, coal. I know it's not perfect, but what are you going to do, really? You know what I mean? But here's the thing. As we continue to weaponize the dollar and try to push green energy, this is hurting some of these countries with not just the weaponization of the dollar, but also because they're big in oil, gas, coal, that type of stuff. And so that's their income. And right now, yes, you're seeing it take hits, but I think that is going to come to an end real quick. When they decide to turn the table, flip the switch, if they decide, you know what, we're not selling to America anymore for U.S. dollars, you want our oil, you give us something tangible. Silver, gold, whatever the case may be. If that happens, we could see oil and gas at the pump shoot up instantly $4 or $5. Now, I say $4 or $5 because of where I'm at. Right now, gas is $3.49. $3.39, $3.49, something like that. I don't drive a whole lot because, essentially, I don't want to pay the high gas prices. So I don't joyride around too much. I make my trip to the store. I make my trip if I'm going somewhere to shoot a video. And that's really, I limit my trips. But I think, an easy to say $1, $2 jump in gas prices. And I think that will just be the first step. So, one thing I want people to think about, if you start seeing the gas prices jump heavily next week, then I think you might want to start preparing if you haven't prepared yet. I'm curious to see how gold and silver is going to play out. Now, some people will say if we go into a recession, then we should see gold and silver slip. And because basically the demand will be down, gold will be sold off because a lot of stocks will be basically taking huge hits. They're going to need that gold, sell it, take the cash, pay off basically their short positions, pay off their margin positions. And silver, essentially, where it's such a big use in industrial demand with all the different industrial applications, then you'll see that kind of slow down and die off. And that would basically ruin gold and ruin silver. Now, I've said I don't think that necessarily will play out that way, because once we start seeing all this happen, I think there's going to be a lot of people that will be waking up to gold and silver. I think we'll see another big push on gold and silver. And people that have held strong stacking are going to want to stack even more when they know what's going on and they start seeing the dollar losing value and gas and food and everything going up. And for people that don't really think about it, if the gas goes up, gas is involved in the shipment of almost everything, the creation of almost everything, and therefore those items will have to go up. Because let's say this bar of silver costs me, we'll just hypothetically, everybody's got a difference of opinion on how much it costs to make an ounce of silver. This is a 5-ounce bar. Let's say it costs $100 to make it. And they sell it right now for, I don't know what, $130. Maybe there's a $30 profit. But if it takes, let's say, I don't know, 10 gallons of gas at $3.50 a gallon, that's $35. Who knows? Then all of a sudden that gas goes up by 50%, maybe doubles in price. Then they're going to need to charge more for this, because they're not going to eat that cost on the higher gas prices. They're going to pass that on to the consumer at the back end, and it's going to be us that's left basically footing the bill for essentially the gas, the oil, and everything else. And then with winter, not super far away. I'm not going to make it sound like winter's coming next month, but we are going into fall here in like 39 days, not soon enough for me since I can't stand the heat down here in Texas, but it is going to come, and when it does, they know that people are going to need oil and gas, and if it's not there, then that's going to be a problem. And I think they'll be able to break down essentially the European countries first and force them to get in line. The U.S., where we do have oil and gas, we might be a little bit more of a holdout, but we could be isolated off to ourselves, essentially, over here. I mean, I would like to assume, despite how a lot of people feel about the president, that he's not going to send our oil and gas overseas if people are here freezing and everything's shutting down. But then again, if we go into a recession, you could end up seeing a lot less people driving. A lot of that could end up helping push the price down, but then it's going to be countered by going up, by them ditching the dollar. A lot of people don't fully know. The currency that we have, these are debt notes. For those of you that don't know what it says on here, Federal Reserve note, right at the top. And every bill will say it somewhere on the bill. Federal Reserve note. For those people that don't know what a note is an instrument of debt. If you actually look up what is a note, it's going to tell you it's a note of debt. And so that's basically what these are. These are debt notes. $20 I owe you, the government owes you $20. They're not going to pay you in gold. They're not going to pay you in silver. I don't know how you can essentially owe somebody when it ain't worth anything. And I know people might be like, well, what do you mean the dollar ain't worth nothing? What I mean by that is it has no intrinsic value. It basically is just a piece of paper. This has essentially the same real physical value as essentially a sheet of paper. But I guess it's cotton. It's not technically all paper, but so when you think about that, how that's going to play out, it really could change the game. And so I do worry about the upcoming BRIC'S meeting. That's why I've kind of been recommending people should maybe have a little extra food on hand, a little extra water on hand. I can't give any kind of financial recommendations because I'm not a licensed financial advisor, but I can tell you that I am buying precious metals because I think it's a great store of wealth. And when times get really tough, that's when you generally see gold and silver do the best. You look at 2000, you look at 2008. Those were basically the jumping board for gold and silver to spring up the next year. And here, you look at what's going on now. Gold and silver, not down, but not really accelerating this year like it should be. we're going to have a pretty close to, as of right now, we're pretty close to even on the year. Yeah, we saw it go up, then we saw it come back down. Still up some. Gold today actually dipped under 1900. It got down to like 1890 something. And silver dipped down to 22 and I don't know, 20, 30 cents, something like that. We're seeing it rebound right now, but I mean, I'm curious to see how the day is going to play out. So with that being said, and by right now, I mean that late at night, I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. But with that being said, I thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you guys again on Tsquare Talk. And if you enjoyed the video and you haven't hit the thumbs up button yet, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It really helps out the channel. And I would stock up on some extra water and food just in case. Take care, everybody. Y'all have a great one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time on Tsquare Talk. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.